The Arctic is melting and the world is watching. Beneath the ice lies a treasure trove of oil, gas, and new shipping routes. Great powers like Russia, the United States, and China are racing to claim it. This frozen frontier, once a symbol of isolation, now sparks global rivalry. Why is the Arctic so coveted, and what does this mean for our planet? The struggle for control is reshaping geopolitics, threatening fragile ecosystems, and challenging international cooperation. The Arctic spans nearly 6% of Earth's surface, roughly the size of Africa. Most of it is an icy ocean, frozen for millions of years. Climate change is changing that. Ice is retreating at a staggering pace, and experts predict the Arctic could be ice-free by 2050. This melting unlocks vast resources. A 2009 United States Geological Survey study estimated the Arctic holds up to 22% of the world's undiscovered oil and gas, worth trillions of dollars. These figures, though uncertain, drive nations to stake their claims. New shipping routes, like the Northern Sea Route, also emerge as ice thins, offering faster paths from Asia to Europe. Indigenous peoples have thrived in the Arctic for over 30,000 years. Hunters tracked caribou and mammoths across Siberia, reaching North America via the Bering Strait by 10,000 years ago. They mastered whaling and seal hunting along icy coasts. In the 9th century, Vikings sailed north, settling southern Greenland. Russia explored northern Siberia in the 12th century, claiming vast Arctic lands by the 17th century. European explorers followed, chasing trade routes through treacherous ice. After centuries of exploration, the Arctic remained governed by its coastal nations. By the 1980s, international law began shaping Arctic claims. In 1982, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea granted nations exclusive economic zones up to 200 nautical miles from their coastlines for resource control. Beyond that, the Arctic, including the North Pole, was declared a common heritage of mankind, meant to be protected. Russia leads the charge. Over 50% of the Arctic Ocean's coastline is Russian territory, home to 2 million people, half the region's population. In 2007, Russia sent 2 submarines to the North Pole's seafloor. They planted a Russian flag and collected samples to prove the ridge beneath is an extension of Russia's landmass. Canada, which also claims parts of the same area, was outraged. Canada's Foreign Minister Peter MacKay declared in 2007 that planting flags is outdated, not a 15th century tactic. Russia's ambitions grew. In 2008, President Dmitry Medvedev announced plans to make the Arctic Russia's resource base for the 21st century. By 2015, Russia claimed 463,000 square miles of Arctic territory, including the North Pole, under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. The United Nations rejected the claim for lack of evidence, but it remains unresolved. The Arctic 8, Russia, the United States via Alaska, Canada, Denmark via Greenland, Norway, Iceland, Finland, and Sweden are all contenders. Norway, Canada, and Denmark have also applied to extend their continental shelves beyond 200 nautical miles, arguing their continental shelves stretch further. Proving these claims is costly and complex, requiring scientific expeditions. In 2018, NATO sent an aircraft carrier into the Arctic Circle for the first time in 27 years. In 2020, British and American warships entered the Barents Sea, near Russia's military posts, a move unseen since the Cold War. In 2022, Norway held its largest Arctic military exercise since the Cold War. These actions signal a growing rivalry, often called the New Cold War. Russia's dominance is clear. Since 2007, Russia has reopened 50 Soviet-era military bases, including 13 air bases, 10 radar stations, 20 border outposts, and 10 emergency rescue stations. The Kola Peninsula hosts Russia's Northern Fleet, its strongest naval force, with strategic submarines vital for nuclear deterrence. In 2023, Russia conducted large-scale naval and air drills in the Arctic, with more planned. Western sources note Russia's military bases outnumber NATO's outposts. Norwegian jets intercepted Russian planes in NATO airspace 26 times in 1 year alone. Despite losses in Ukraine, Russia's Northern Fleet remains a potent threat to NATO targets in Europe. NATO is not standing still. In 2023, Norway, Finland, and Sweden held 2 joint military exercises in the Arctic within 2 months. F-35 jets trained in one-on-one dogfights, a skill still vital despite advanced technology. Finland joined NATO, and Sweden awaits approval as the 32nd member, strengthening the alliance's Arctic presence. The Arctic is a growing arena of confrontation. Russia simulates attacks on Norwegian and NATO targets, prompting NATO's large-scale exercises in response. This tit-for-tat escalation fuels fears of conflict spilling into NATO territory, especially after Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. China, calling itself a near-Arctic state, is also in the game. China's economic growth relies on heavy industry, hungry for Arctic oil, gas, and minerals like palladium and nickel. In 2022, China invested in Russia's Vostok oil project, which aims to extract 6 billion tons of crude oil and 2 trillion cubic meters of gas from the Great Arctic Nature Reserve. The project plans new airports, marine terminals, and 800 kilometers of pipelines. Russia's invasion of Ukraine disrupted these plans as Western investors and technology withdrew. Some Chinese investors paused, fearing sanctions from the United States or European Union. Still, China pushes its Polar Silk Road, part of the Belt and Road Initiative, to build infrastructure for global trade through the Arctic. The Northern Sea Route is a game changer. The traditional Asia to Europe shipping route via the Suez Canal spans 20,000 kilometers and takes 29 days. The Northern Sea Route along Russia's Arctic coast is 9,000 kilometers shorter and takes just 10 days. A transpolar passage could shave off another 2 days. From 2013 to 2019, cargo along the Northern Sea Route grew 20 times as ice thinned. This route's efficiency drives competition as nations seek control over these waters for trade and military advantage. The Arctic's 500,000 indigenous people face a melting homeland. Their culture and livelihoods depend on a pristine ecosystem. Oil and gas drilling threatens this. Toxic substances from spills can poison plankton, like Arctic copepods, disrupting the food chain for fish, seals, whales, and humans. A 25% increase in marine traffic from 2013 to 2019 brought more oil pollution, wastewater, and noise, harming wildlife. Heavy fuel oil, allowed in the Arctic but banned in the Antarctic, is especially damaging in cold waters, where it remains viscous and resists breakdown. Black carbon from burning this fuel blankets snow, accelerating ice melt. Cooperation is possible. In 2021, the Central Arctic Ocean Fishing Moratorium, signed by the United States, Russia, China, and others, banned commercial fishing to protect the region. The Mosaic mission, involving 20 countries including Russia, showed scientists working together on climate research. The Arctic Council promotes sustainable development, recommending protected marine areas and reduced black carbon emissions. Russia's war in Ukraine disrupted the Council's work, but other Arctic states continue collaborating. A proposed global fund could compensate nations for not drilling, but no such agreement exists. The Arctic's fate hangs in balance. Some nations are stepping back. In 2021, Greenland banned oil exploration, and Canada prohibited offshore drilling in protected areas. The United States suspended oil leases in Alaska's Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, though pressure to drill persists. Reinsurers like Aviva, Allianz, and Munich Re are restricting funding for new oil projects as renewables grow more profitable. Arctic oil fields take 16 years to reach peak production, making them a risky bet. Yet the lure of resources keeps tensions high. A binding treaty to protect the Arctic is needed, but disputes over continental shelves delay progress. Who will control the Arctic, and at what cost to its people and environment? The answers will shape our planet's future.